You may just be lost, right where you're meant to be. Now, this raises the question of if you are lost, where you are meant to be. Are you truly lost? If the path that you are walking to your ultimate goal, to your best self, to your dreams, involves you getting lost a lot, many pitfalls, many wrong turns, many getting off the path, if that is what your journey is meant to be, is that if that is what your true ultimate path has in store for you, are you truly lost? Could you have truly have learned the lessons that you have learned without being lost? And I think we so often forget that if we want to find ourselves, but we don't want to be lost. These these things do not go hand in hand. If you are trying to find yourself, that means that you are lost. And if you say, I'm trying to find myself, but I'm not lost, then you'll neither find yourself nor will you gain the lessons you should be gaining from being lost. And that's a true pity, because if you don't accept the fact that you were lost, when you find yourself, you won't accept it, because it's not going to be, I don't think it's going to be a happy, I don't think it's going to be a comfortable experience. Finding your best version of yourself probably looks very uncomfortable, and when you finally do, you realize how much more uncomfortable work that is in store for you to come. It's like when I do things, I like to do them all the way, and sometimes that comes with a little bit of pain, because I realize how serious I'm going to have to take this next endeavor. I realize how much time I'm going to have to put into it to get to a level that I'm okay with. I don't want to do things that, I spend an hour doing, every once a week, an hour or two once a week, and then you're just mediocre forever. It's either do it or don't. And when you decide to do something, there can be some uncomfort in it, because you realize how much more uncomfortable times there are to come. And if you cannot accept the fact that you were lost, and you do find yourself, then you won't want to accept it. It'll look like too much work. It'll look too uncomfortable. But if you can accept the fact that you are lost, and that you're trying to find yourself, that suffering will pale. The suffering will make the suffering of putting the work into finding yourself and pursuing yourself look minuscule, and the rewards immense, because you're truly sitting with the fact that you are lost. But as I said, I don't want to dwell on that point, because if you're meant to be lost, you're not lost. If you look back on your life and everything makes sense, and to get to A or to get to B, you realized why you had to go to A, and to get to D, you realized that you needed to go through B. It's like, you can connect the dots, and you can realize, oh, I wasn't lost. That wasn't 2 months of my life wasted. That was 2 months of my life spent gaining valuable lessons. 2 months of my life spent realizing things about myself that I never thought I I never thought I would, or realizing things that I thought I already knew. When things get brought to your attention, when faults get brought to your attention, this is a great good fortune, because then you can improve upon them. If they are not brought to your attention, you have no hopes of improving. But when the faults come to your attention, when they rise to the surface, then you can do away with them. I've it's like the like when you heat up, gold that's not pure, all the impurities rise to the surface when it is exposed to high temperatures. And that's how we are too. We get exposed to high temperatures, difficult situations, difficult circumstances, and our impurities come to the surface, and it's clear to see. And they're impurities that have always been there, but they've been mixed in with our purities, so we weren't so inclined to see them. But they've always been there. But when you get in stressful, heatful situations, they come to the surface, and then you can realize, oh, this is something I have. This is something I need to work on. And then you can be grateful that it has been brought to your attention, because acceptance is it's a key part of the role of self-improvement. If you need to accept the fact that you could be better while being grateful for all that you are. It's a balance. It's a hard thing to balance, wanting to be better, but also being satisfied and grateful where you are. Wanting more out of life without desiring it so much that you aren't able to enjoy where you are and what you have while you're there. It is truly a balancing act, and it is not easy. But I just want to make this video today to just stress the fact that you may be lost right where you're meant to be. And if that is the case for you, then I'd encourage you to think of yourself as not even lost, and think of yourself as, you were on the path and you hit a pitfall, but little did you know that your path was meant to hit that pitfall, and there's another path in the pitfall that leads to a better path that you never would have willingly took, you never would have thought was the best way, you never would have wanted to do it. But you can look back in hindsight, and you can say, I'm so grateful that happened. I couldn't see it while it was happening, but that was one of the greatest things that has ever happened to me. And it all worked out in such a way that you think there just had to have been like divine intervention, because of how perfectly it worked out, and how you never in a million years would have wished it. But now you couldn't imagine in a million years wanting it not to happen. So if you are lost, if you are struggling, if you're trying to find your way, I mean, it does you no good to not view that as part of the journey. Because when you don't accept it and view it as part of the journey, it's harder to take the lessons from it. It's harder to truly take the lessons from these hard times when you say, woe is me, why is this happening to me? Why me? It's always me, circumstances, other people, never my fault. Always the other two. We can't be doing this. You have to take ownership. And in doing that, and in not blaming it on other people or circumstances, you can truly see and gain the lessons that you were meant to gain from these hard experiences. And if you're going to go through them, you might as well gain the lessons that they are trying to offer you. View everything as happening for you, not against you. And you'll find the deep, meaningful lessons that will catapult your growth to the next level. So if you're lost, just remember, you may be right where you're meant to be.